Okay, it is 5:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. And Lynn, can you help us with the roll call?
Pam Moore,
Present.
Jody Lundquist,
Here.
Andy Robichuk, Ken Warner,
Here.
Leonard Weaver,
Here.
Mark Healy,
Here.
Laura Oplinger.
Here, thank you. Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we are going to, well, first, before we go into our annual meeting, do you have any adjustments to your agenda? Additions, deletions? Okay. We do, I will mention that in item 6, or item S, the action items of the purchase and sale agreement, hopefully some of you have seen some of the changes. We have a little bit of change in language on that action item, but on the sheet that is in front of you has the most current changes in that. So not a change in arrangement or anything. Okay, with that, we're going to roll into our annual meeting business, and I would just like to ask Lynn, we have the notice and proof of service. Is that something you need to read, Lynn, or just point out to us?
Right, just note that I sent that out to the board on the 19th.
Right, okay, thank you. Pam, as our secretary, if you could please read the report of the secretary?
Certainly. The 2025 Northwestern Michigan College Board of Trustees annual meeting minutes were approved on February 4th, 2025, and are available online at the link there, 2025 trustee meeting materials and minutes website, along with all other regular meeting minutes.
Perfect, thank you, Pam. Andy, as our treasurer, can you please read the report of the treasurer?
Annual financial audit for Northwestern Michigan College for the school year ending June 30, 2025 is accepted by the NMC Board of Trustees on October 20th, 2025. It is available online, the NMC audit website, which is all on the website.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, you have two forms, if you haven't already seen them, in your area of where you're sitting, the residential address form, and then also the conflict of interest disclosure statement. Please, if you can, complete those this evening and hand them to Lynn. Those are typical documents that we need to update each year. At this time, we do have an action item for an election of officers, and I would like to entertain a motion to elect your new board chair.
I'll make a motion.
Okay? And support of that.
Support.
Okay, and we need, within that motion, we do need a nomination of your chair.
Do you want to do Ken or do you want to?
You go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to nominate Mark Keeley as chair.
Excellent, okay. Any discussion on that nomination? Okay, with that, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed, same sign. Excellent. There you go, my friends.
Thank you, Trustee Oplinger. We're going to get to you. We're going to speak about you here coming up in the chair report for today. Moving on, another action item is for the annual meeting business is to elect a slate of officers. And so the slate of officers we're proposing: Vice Chair Jody Lundquist, Secretary Pam Horn, and Treasurer Andy Robichuk. So with that slate, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, support. Second, Ken. And any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, same sign. And motion passes. Thank you. Next, the review of proposed regular meeting dates and locations through June of 2027 as presented. In the packet, you should have seen the dates. I think they go through July of next year. And any discussion, do we need any other action on that?
Formal action.
Nope, okay.
If there's any concerns.
Any discussion on the dates? Okay. All right, so we're going to move on into reports and presentations. And we are looking forward to hearing from East Bay District Corridor Improvement Authority. And we're going to welcome Claire Karner, Director of Planning and Zoning for East Bay Township, Beth Friend, Supervisor, East Bay Township, and then John Lokalanji, forgive me, sir, from Beckett and Rader. If you want to join us.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Claire Karner, and I am joined here by Beth Friend as the Township Supervisor, and then Chris Cargill is the Chair of the Corridor Improvement Authority. So they are both here to listen and also can answer questions, but I'm going to run through the presentation. John Icoangeli is our consultant that's been helping us through this process. He's up in Petoskey. The roads were not great, so he decided not to join for this evening. So he got a pass. So just wanted, I might try to put this into presentation mode.
And Claire, if I may mention that it's, if you can stay at the podium
Yes,
with the mic, then
absolutely.
our viewers online can hear you.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
thank
can
you.
definitely do that. And let me, from beginning. Okay. So just wanted to thank you all very much for giving us the opportunity to come and present the East Bay Beach District to you all this evening. We've had the opportunity to meet with staff and with administration, and so it's been a good discussion leading up to this, and we're happy to be in front of the board tonight. So for years, the East Bay Beach District has really been identified as a high priority corridor. So the district runs all of the, everything within the East Bay Township limits. And so that begins at the Burger King, kind of right by Acme, and goes all the way into town to Tom's East Bay Plaza. So it's about 2.5 miles. This is a really unique corridor in that it has the highest annual traffic counts of any corridor in all of Grand Traverse County. And it also has an extreme density of land uses. So those land uses are not limited just to hotels. We also have long-term residential housing along the corridor. We have retail, we have restaurants, we have parks, we have recreation facilities. And so we find that we just have a lot of challenges with safety and crossings and kind of all of those destinations along the corridor. And really another challenge is that for years, while there's been private investment in this corridor, there's been an underinvestment in public infrastructure along this corridor. So in addition to challenges, we also have a lot of opportunities. So we found over the last several years, we have a lot of locally owned businesses along the corridor, and really we've had great engagement from the business community. There's a lot of excitement about creating more of a sense of place and implementing some of these safety measures. We also have the TART Trail, which runs along the corridor, as well as the Beta Bayline bus route. So we have that transportation infrastructure. We, of course, have East Grand Traverse Bay, which is a huge asset. We've had substantial private investment, especially over the last several years. And the surrounding area, like just outside the district, is zoned for workforce housing. It's got public water and sewer. And so it's really prime for that investment. And it's generated a lot of interest and kind of investment kind of just in the neighborhoods just outside the corridor, with people looking to locate here with access to, a walkable community amenities. So this community visioning effort was really the impetus. We received 2 large federal grants, one from the Coastal Management Program and one from the USDA. And so we were able to use this to facilitate community-wide visioning process. It spanned the course of about a year. and we engaged over 700 community members. We had a week-long design charrette. We had several large community surveys that went out. We had stakeholder interviews, focus group meetings, pop-up meetings along the corridor. So we were really able to get out and interact with a lot of community members, residents living along the corridor, as well as the larger community. In addition to the visioning, we were also able to use the grant funding to support quarterly breakfast. So for the last several years, we've been convening business owners along the corridor, as well as residents and other partners on these breakfasts located along the corridor, with an opportunity for networking and information sharing. They've been really well attended. We've also had an implementation team that's been working with us, meeting monthly to help guide the public visioning effort, and really to also help us kind of figure out how do we implement this. That's been made up of business owners, corridor residents, as well as our agency partners, TART, Beta, the Land Conservancy, Traverse Connect, Grand Traverse County, MDOT. So some really great partners. We also were able, with the grant funding, have done some marketing and branding. And that was really just based on feedback from the business community that how can we, what's some low-hanging fruit to really create more of a sense of place? So we are able to create this logo. You'll see that there was we've got bookending the corridor. We've got Welcome to the Beach District. We have these decals. If you've been out along the TART Trail, we were able, there was a few buses going around town this summer with the logo, as well as we've got banners along the corridor with the logo. We also have, and I sent those around, brochures that are at all of the hotels, restaurants, businesses along the corridor as a way to kind of help cross-promote one another and show kind of the walkable, bikeable destinations along the corridor, as well as how to get around. And then we also have an online presence with this business directory that we've continued to update with events and different opportunities. So what was the feedback that we heard? Some of the priority projects, one is this 4-mile road end. So at the end of 4 Mile, the Grand Traverse County Road Commission currently owns that road end, and are interested and willing to transfer that over to the township. They don't need it kind of for their daily operations, and so we're looking to, with kind of a, not a huge pier, but how can we get people out onto the water to experience the water that maybe don't have a boat? We're looking at some like gateway signage, branding of the beach district, as well as some improvements on the sidewalk to get people from the TART Trail down to that new public park, as well as we've got a location for a bus pullout and just some kind of placemaking amenities for that. We also heard overwhelming support for crosswalks. So they're looking for people are looking for safe crossings, whether that's at grade crossings, tunnels, bridges, also looking for planted medians, just different opportunities to make this corridor safer. We have had really good discussions with MDOT. We have identified one location for an at-grade crossing and continue to work with MDOT on those locations, and are with the goal of every quarter mile having a safe crossing, because people are not going to walk more than that distance kind of along the corridor to be able to safely cross. So we have a final plan that was adopted last spring. This is a sub-area plan to our master plan. So it was adopted by the Planning Commission and also by the Township Board. Some of those priorities were, again, installing those safe pedestrian crossings every quarter mile, year-round maintenance of our sidewalk infrastructure. Right now, it's not maintained year-round, dedicated funding towards that. Desire to complete the sidewalk network along 4 Mile, 3 Mile, and then also along US 31. I mentioned the pedestrian pier, and then also some placemaking, planters, seating, landscaping, better lighting along the corridor. Right now, it's not very safe because there's not a lot of lighting. And then also enhancing some of our Beta Bay Line stops. They don't have shelters, pullouts, getting people away from the road to make those stops more safe. The Bay Line actually has some of the highest ridership numbers, and so they're looking for improvements to that as well. So in terms of the timeline that we're looking at, as I mentioned in May, last spring, we adopted that sub-area plan. In October, the Township Board officially established the Corridor Improvement Authority. Just last week, the Corridor Improvement Authority Board recommended our TIF development plan to the Township Board of Trustees, and I apologize for the acronym. TIF is Tax Increment Financing, so they recommended that to the Township Board. We are looking at the February meeting that tax increment financing and development plan will go in front of the Township Board, and they have the opportunity to schedule a public hearing. We're looking at March. The very earliest that TIF development plan would be adopted would be May, because we have to wait 60 days after the public hearing in order to adopt the plan. So that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of next steps. This is included in your packet is a map of the district, but I just wanted to highlight, we extend the district a little bit along 3 Mile and 4 Mile with the opportunity to enhance and increase the sidewalk to make that connectivity from the TART trail down to the district. The other nice opportunity we have, you'll see the Ridge property, which is that large rectangle that was recently the township in partnership with the Land Conservancy secured funding to purchase that property. And so we included in the plan is a railroad crossing to get people from the trail system across the railroad tracks over to the TART trail at the Ridge, as well as the Refit Preserve, which is kind of just off of 4 Mile, another Land Conservancy property. We have the opportunity to fund a railroad crossing to get people over to the TART trail. So that was part of our thinking behind expanding that boundary a little bit. So I know many of you are probably very familiar with TIF, the tax increment financing, but just a few points we wanted to mention. So with TIF, all of the existing revenue for all of the taxing jurisdictions, including NMC, would be protected. So NMC would continue to collect all of its current tax base within that district. If there's no growth in the district, there would be no capture for the district. So that incremental increase in taxable value is all dependent on growth and increase in taxable value. Wanted to make the point that this is time limited, and this is part of informed by discussions that we've had with the taxing jurisdictions. There was a desire to have guardrails in place. And so we're looking at a TIF plan that will be 20 years long. This is shorter than a lot of other DDA or other TIF plans that you see across the state of Michigan are 30, 40, or no set date. They say that they will end once all of the projects have been completed. So we're looking at a 20-year timeline for this. We wanted to point out that there's no tax increase to any property owners within the district or outside the district. So nobody in Grand Traverse County would be impacted directly in terms of their taxes by this. We felt, based on kind of all of the research that we've done and working with our consultant, this is the best available option for public infrastructure investments. We really pushed our consultant to kind of look broadly throughout the state of Michigan as well as nationally at what other public financing options are there to help fund this public infrastructure. And we really kept coming back to the TIF, the tax increment financing with the Corridor Improvement Authority is the best option. And then I'll also point out that we've seen in community after community when these TIF plans are put into place, even Traverse City is a good example, the adjacent values increase. And so outside of the district, especially in a district like this where we're seeing a high demand for new housing and new development outside of that district, when you invest in public infrastructure within that district, we see taxable values just outside of that district continue to rise, which benefits all of the taxing jurisdictions. So we feel that the investment in the corridor will benefit NMC students, faculty, and the larger community. We see improved non-motorized access, safety, and proximity to housing for students, faculty, and the larger community. We see workforce development and employer attraction, really kind of an regional economic vitality through placemaking. and public infrastructure investments, retention of graduates in the local economy. And I would say this really serves as a corridor, kind of a gateway into the Traverse City area. So for prospective students, visitors, people coming to the region, oftentimes as you're coming in, you're coming down US 31. So we're really looking to make it not only a safe place, but kind of more of a welcoming, attractive corridor as people are entering our community. The other item that I'll mention, so we've had some discussions with the city about opportunities for improving that connectivity from the east side of town to get to the TART Trail. So right now, there's not a great connection point, and it's kind of where both East Bay Township and Traverse City borders meet around the Tom's East Bay Plaza. And so we've identified some different funding opportunities to explore through a transportation alternatives program grant, safe routes to school, a brownfield plan that's currently at Tom's East Bay Plaza. So we are looking at partnering with the city also to get better connectivity from NMC and the east side of town to get people kind of up airport access on a safe trail over to the district. So we think that that's an opportunity as well. And so I guess with that, I would just would leave with just a couple comments, and that is that right now this corridor is not safe. And unfortunately, too many lives have been lost on this corridor really because of poor design. The public infrastructure was poorly designed. For years, the community has demanded better solutions, and we feel that the community deserves a better corridor and a safer corridor. And East Bay Township, as you know, we don't have jurisdiction over that highway. That's a MDOT highway, it's a state highway, but we feel that by moving forward with this, with the tax increment financing plan, we would have the opportunity to bring real funding to the table to allow us to continue to partner with MDOT and other community partners to really bring about meaningful change to the corridor. So we see this as a huge opportunity, and we're excited to partner with NMC and to continue that conversation. So thank you very much for allowing us to be here tonight, and we're happy to answer any questions, and I'm sure Beth and Chris as well.
Thank you, Claire. Appreciate your time and being here. And we're going to open it up here for some questions. Go ahead, Kennard.
I got a comment and a question. The comment is, I hope you're patient because it took West Bay about 60 or 70 years to get to where it is now. So it's going to take a while. The question is, have you figured out a way to get people in wheelchairs across the road? Because on West Bay, we actually have some traffic lights where we go across. I don't know if that's feasible on East Bay with the high-speed traffic you have there.
Yes.
If you don't, I'm sure there are people in the community who can help advise you on that.
Yeah, no, that's a great comment. We, any improvements to intersections are all ADA compliant, but we are working with MDOT to identify some locations for, similar to West Bay, the Hawk signals, which is a mid-block crossing. It's signalized, it's an at-grade crossing, so you push the button, it stops traffic, and that is a solution that we are pursuing that would be ADA, and that we would certainly continue to work with disability advocates for making sure that it was conducive to wheelchairs.
Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, I've got another question I'm sure you have an answer to because you've heard it many, many times. I, by the way, live on the street there, so I know what that traffic is like. I'm trying to envision what it means if every 2.5 blocks, I love the concept of having an ability for people to cross safely, which you can't do now. But what does it mean to the traffic flow when you have cars that are going 45 to 50 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden, every once in a while, you have to stop and then start up again? That just seems to me that's going to be a real challenge.
Yeah, we will continue to work very closely with MDOT, and MDOT is aware of those plans, aware of our desire to have that every quarter mile. And I would say, we're looking to not necessarily move cars through at 50 miles an hour, but we're looking to have a continuous flow of traffic. So we don't want backups. We want that same kind of volume to be able to move through the corridor. But likely with all of the public infrastructure investments that we're looking at, we ideally would be kind of moving the traffic speeds down to closer to 35 miles an hour to have it.
I wouldn't complain about that
Yeah.
at all. I do think that this is going to be a problem, and I'm going to say, I'm sure you must have given a lot of thought to it.
Laura?
We have the option at NMC to opt in or opt out of this. Can you help us understand the others that you're talking to, other entities, organizations that have the same option? What kind of feedback are you getting thus far on opt-ins or opt-outs?
Okay, great question. You're one of our early presentations. So we presented to the beta board on Thursday. We received really good feedback from the beta board. Of course, with beta, a lot of those public infrastructure investments do directly benefit beta, but I think they also saw just the benefit to the safety, the crossings, some of those placemaking amenities. So we're not necessarily looking for a direct answer at this time, so we're not looking for action. But in terms of the timeline, we've reached out to all the different taxing jurisdictions. Some are having us come in front of their boards to present. Some we've just met with administration and staff. We are planning to be in front of the Road Commission as well as Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners, likely in February or March. In terms of the timing, once the plan is adopted, by state statute, there's 60 days that each one of the taxing jurisdictions, by taking no action, you would be included in the plan, but you have 60 days to kind of to make those decisions.
And what is the impact to this plan with an opt-out choice?
If NMC opted out, then any of that incremental increase in taxable value that would be, specifically to NMC's millage would go to NMC as opposed to get reinvested into the public infrastructure in the corridor.
I just wanted to hear that clearly stated. Thank you.
Yeah, and I will mention that we included in the handout are some the projections. So we do have some projections of kind of what that incremental increase in taxable value over time would be. We used a 2.5% rate of growth for the first year and then a 2% rate of growth for every year after that until year 20. So you can kind of see how that changes. I think it's around $7,000 for year one, and then kind of goes up from there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you, Claire. Thank you, East Bay Township. We appreciate your time today and coming in. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay, yep, thank you.
All right. Next, we're excited to hear from and welcome Laura Stevens, the annual report for the Extended Education and Training Program here. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to start with a story. It was the end of a long but happy day. We had hosted over 300 community members and partners here on our main campus. It was Campus Day, May 8th, 2025. I was walking out of Scholars Hall by the Denos Museum, that spot where you can see the pines sprawling before you. And an older couple approached me excitedly after their last session. They held up their shopping bags from the NMC bookstore, and they said, "Look what we bought for our grandson. He lives downstate. We hope he'll come up here for school." And then they turned to the pines and gestured to everything before them and said, "We had no idea that all of this was here. We drive by on Munson Avenue every day, and we had no idea that this beautiful campus was here." So when I say that extended education and training broadens the front door of the college, that's partly what I mean. Sorry. I'm going to tell you a little more about that broadening of the front door that we are actively focusing on this next year. But I'm going to go back through the lens of our annual report. And this covers 3 terms: fall of '24, winter, spring '25, and summer of '25. Our goals for today is to talk about the college support that extended education and training provides, that's in addition to the open enrollment courses that you're familiar with that we offer. I'd like to touch base on our financial trajectory, where as we get closer to that net revenue break-even point. And I want to really focus on the repositioning of our work and career portfolio, and that's the work we've done with the 60 by 30 grant you've heard a little bit about. So there's a lot of numbers on this page. Basically, what this represents are the tuition dollars that extended education receives when people sign up for academic classes that we open up to the community. So ceramics is a popular class. You see music. Some people in the community want to take those classes, but not for credit. So we open up those academic seats and we funnel those tuition dollars directly to hosting academic departments. And that was $131,000 last year. Secondly, through fundraising, 14% of extended education students are NMC donors to the college. So collectively, that's $3.3 million that those students have brought in for us to the college from 2020, so the last 5 years. That figure was $2.6 million when I presented to you this time last year. Thirdly, recruitment. 14% of our current NMC students were College for Kids students, and that percentage is up from 12% last year when I reported to you. When we put together our programming for the community, we are sure to uplift some of our distinctive programs here at the college, especially those 4-year academic pathways. Number 4 is employee engagement. 55% of employees participated in extended education classes last year. But to put that in perspective, that's about 3% of our extended ed students. So our second goal is looking at our financial performance. I'll draw your attention to that light blue line. So that includes that $131,000 that we've brought in through our registrations and sent directly over to academic departments. In this past year, we built a new department within, and that's the 60 by 30 grant that I'll talk about. And as I talked about, that significant college support that we put our resources towards and bringing community members into those credit classes. A high-level overview of our 3 portfolios. We serve 3 distinct audiences. You can see that Life Enrichment is the largest portfolio, followed by College for Kids, and then Work and Career. But I'll throw in last year's numbers so you can see where we've come. If you look at that Work and Career, that went from $68,000 last year to $100,000 I'm sorry, $68,000 would have been 2 years ago and $100,000 last year. That portfolio has the largest potential to continue growing. And that's the work through the 60 by 30 grant that we're doing. All in all, we had a 10% increase from fiscal year 24 to 25 in our net revenue. So we know in Northern Michigan, we have growing business and industry who need skilled workers. So that relates to that Work and Career portfolio. Our 60 by 30 grant allowed us to reposition that work and broaden the team that serves that sort of growing department within a department. If you look at that second to bottom line where it says attainment levels, 49% to 55%, so that's our current attainment level in our 10-county region is that 49% of working age adults hold a credential or a degree. And so the goal with the grant we received is to bring that number up to 55% in 3 years, thus getting us closer to that 60% by 2030. We also created a 10-county collaboration called the NOMI Attainment Collaborative under the grant. And we're able to restructure and realign the programming that we do offer so that it more seamlessly represents and connects to the credit programs that we have here at the college, the goal being to take non-credit over to the credit side for those pathways. And then connecting with our industry partners so that we are ensuring that we're meeting what industry needs when they need those skilled workers. This represents the funnel before the grant initiative. So we have a team of people here at the college who, if you express interest in a degree pathway or a certification, academic certification, you go through this funnel. With the grant, we've been able to, again, broaden that front door, broaden the funnel. We're in close partnership with Northwest Michigan Works through the grant, and then the programming that we're putting together through extended education. We find that discouraged learners are more likely to come to the non-credit side, sort of the try things out, dip their toe in it before committing to a larger degree pathway. So here are the four departments and then in the sectors who have contributed to this broadening of the front door through the grant. We have over 30 industry partners who are part of the NOMI Attainment Collaborative, or for short, NOMIAC. I'll draw your attention, though, to the community colleges. North Central Michigan College and West Shore Community College are represented there, along with Kirkland. And also, you'll see our university center partners, and then other industry partners and nonprofit organizations. This is our thermometer where we are measuring how many people have earned certificates and degrees since the start of the grant. So we started measuring in about July, and that 49% that I talked about to 55% attainment level equals out to about 2,000 people in our 10-county region. So we're counting through the NOMI Attainment Collaborative. We're gathering that data from our four-year degree university partners and from our community colleges and other organizations that provide certifications to keep track of that data so we can get closer to our goal. We are 7 months into a 36-month grant, so we feel that we're doing pretty well there. This, I wanted to show you how we are leveraging the college's resources when we are interfacing with the community and putting together these programs. So to provide more elevated experiences and customized training, we are leveraging this lovely space of Lobdell's. What you're looking at here is a women's out-of-office professional retreat that we hosted back in November. So again, we talked about the college support that extended education training provides to the college on top of the open enrollment classes we're known for. Financial trajectory of getting closer to that break-even point, which is our goal. And then the repositioning of work and career, and I put that little asterisk there because this directly threads into the next strategic plan. So strategy 2 is on enrollment and student success. So that's at expanding the pathways for adult learners, the stackable pathways for part-time learners, and advancing toward employment and further education. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. I want to take a moment to recognize you and your team and the good work you're doing. This is such exciting stuff. And with that, too, I'd like to open it up for questions from the board.
Laura, can you talk to us about physical capacity for your classes, the classes that you hold? How are we doing with capacity for extended education?
Do you mean the numbers of people in classes, or do you mean space? I mean the
physical building space.
Yes. So I took the helm at Extended Ed as director in 2019, and you all know how that story goes. There were a lot of changes after that year. The first really being that we had Greenspire come in and utilize that space where we used to have most of our classes in that space. So we have done since that time just a lot of figuring and refiguring and where are the best places to bring our community onto campus and to be able to host our classes. So yeah, that's it. It's as we transition from Boardman Lake campus, we are looking at what's the best opportunity, and we have future possibilities, but what happens next? We've already been hosting the majority of our classes on main campus. We just did a data review for our last term in the fall, and we found that a lot of our students who take our fitness classes and our culinary classes, those are very popular. Those are over in the PE building in the Olson Center. So, there's a lot of possibilities, and we are able to use a lot of different spaces.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Mark, If I could just add an exclamation point to a couple things that Laura mentioned. And one is to put into context that 60 by 30 grant and the work that Laura and her team are doing. That is monumental in terms of the partnering. And you heard Laura say it's a 10-county area. Never has the college ever reached out into a 10-county consortium or collaboration. And you also heard Laura say that that's over 30 partners. And again, we've never had that large of a partnership that we've worked with. So I think that's something really amazing. But also Laura's commitment to impact, that she's been able to figure out what does that getting to 55 mean, and she's been able to tell us it's 2,000 individuals, and she now has a dashboard that they're tracking that. And just to remind us, that means 2,000 people who have the potential to move from here to here in terms of their middle class wage earnings. So I just want to highlight, I think it's some amazing work that Laura and her team are doing.
Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Okay, now it is that time in the meeting where we have public input. And so a quick reminder, each person wishing to address the board during the public comment must be present, shall provide their name and address, which we have here on the blue form, which I have one. The topic addressed must be related to the business within the jurisdiction of the board, and comments must be limited to 3 minutes in length per speaker. The board will take these public remarks into consideration, but we will not comment at this time. And with that, I would like to welcome Warren Call from Traverse Connect to the podium. Welcome, Warren.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. Yes, Warren Call with Traverse Connect. On behalf of our board of directors, thanks for the opportunity to speak. I am here to talk specifically to the presentation you just saw from East Bay Township and Claire regarding the Corridor Improvement Authority. Obviously, as many of you know, as part of our work here at Traverse Connect in the regional development strategy, we work very closely with partners, including NMC and East Bay, on their key initiatives. In 2023, we were involved with East Bay in completing a corridor impact study, which outlined many of the things that you saw that are now part of the East Bay Township plan. It included, obviously, investment in public space, the district corridor plan, proposed development sites, zoning amendments, et cetera. That earlier work that we had done obviously informed many of the things that Claire brought forward for you tonight. And it's one of those things that we feel strongly is a great thing that we can use collectively in the region here in the Grand Traverse area, because it's one of the few tools, corridor improvement authorities and tax increment financing specifically, are one of the few tools that we have at the local level that are available for us to control. So as the NMC board continues to consider the options for participation, and obviously the financial costs and also the economic development benefits of participation, I want to kind of double down and highlight one thing that Claire touched on briefly. And that's because it's one of the oftentimes overlooked benefits of TIF development and TIF usage. And that's what economists refer to as the spillover benefits. The spillover benefits occur when a successful TIF development raises property values not only within the TIF district, but in the adjacent neighborhoods, areas, districts, and surrounding community. And that's a really important thing, because these increases in the surrounding non-TIF district property values benefit all the taxing jurisdictions, and they do so in a way that is realized in a nearer term way, because those out-of-district property value increases obviously are not captured in the TIF plan, and they are not subject to waiting until the expiration of that TIF plan. So they benefit the community and the taxing jurisdictions in a more immediate way. And I think that's a really important aspect of TIF financing in general, and specifically this Corridor Improvement Authority proposal before you right now. A review, as Claire indicated, a review of simply the tax value increases that we've seen in our greater region as a result of some of the other and existing TIF plans that are in our community, are a testament to the considerable value that can be created, not just, again, in the TIF district, but for the whole region when we use these tools effectively. So in short, I believe that it's our position, certainly from Traverse Connect, that the Corridor Improvement Authority would be a positive development for the region, and that we do believe that the overall benefits from using these types of tools would accrue to NMC and other partners in the near term without simply waiting for the only benefit to be at the end of the TIF capture plan. And so as you evaluate, again, the participation potential, the costs, and the benefits, we'd encourage you to look at that non-TIF district property value increase as a key component. Thanks for your continued partnership and leadership.
Thank you, Warren. And with that, we're going to move on to President Nisley's update.
Thanks, Mark. I'd like to share 5 key things with you. And one, while I had shared this with you last week at the study session, I'd like to at least repeat it for the public record. And that's a bit of an update in terms of the Boardman Lake campus purchase. And as you know, at the last Board of Trustees meeting, December 15th, you had authorized me to move forward and share the letter of intent with the tribe. And I did that effective December 16th. We sat down, began negotiating those terms, and by December 30th, we did have a signed LOI. The next step coming out of the LOI was to negotiate the purchase agreement, or what's referred to as the PSA. And working with Miller Canfield, our legal counsel, we did indeed get the PSA to the tribe almost a week ahead of the due date on January 8th. They had from the 8th until the 21st, or we had from the 8th to the 21st to negotiate through those terms. And we were successful in doing that because on the 21st, the tribe presented it to their tribal council or board and did get approval. So that led us the next day on the 22nd to our study session and obviously to today's vote. So I wanted to just remind you of the process coming out since the last board meeting. And I do publicly want to acknowledge a couple people who really worked hard in pulling this together, because believe it or not, it's been give or take 30 days. And it took a whole lot of effort, specifically to Troy Krasinski, who worked round the clock in helping us negotiate the terms and make sure that we had an agreement that was satisfactory not only to the tribe, but especially to us, and especially with the leaseback provision. Lynn also supported us immensely through that process, and as you can imagine, there were about umpteen different versions that we were constantly going through, and Lynn kept us straight on all of that. I'd also say Diana Fairbanks and Catherine Marvin did a great job making sure that we connected with our stakeholders, internal and external. But I'd also like to give special acknowledgement to Scott and Reshma with Miller Canfield, because we couldn't have done it without really expert legal counsel to put together an agreement, which you had a chance to really dig into last week at the study session. And as you know, it's a pretty lengthy and legalistic agreement, and we feel 100% confident in the counsel of Miller Canfield. And lastly, I'd say Cunningham Limp and Bobby Polinsky just did an outstanding job, because the college has never been in this position of looking at treating a piece of real estate as an asset and figuring out how do we effectively dispose of that asset. And we couldn't have done it without Cunningham Limp's expert counsel. So thank you to Bobby on that as well. And I'd be remiss too if I didn't say from the tribe, Sandra Witherspoon, the tribal chairwoman, and Rob Kaufleis, the lands director, were the most amazing partners to work through on this. And really daily we were engaged with them, and they were incredibly collaborative and helpful throughout the process. And I would like to say Chi Migwich, which is thanks a lot to them for the work that they did. Second, shifting, I'd like to say regarding the policy conference and the fact that we've got Traverse Connect here today, it's even more meaningful. It was an amazingly well-attended event, especially considering that we were dealing with near whiteout conditions getting there. But I want to give a special thanks to all the trustees who attended, whether the Friday event, the Thursday pre-event, or the Friday night actual gala celebration. Thank you for the time and energy that you put into events like that. And I'd like to just make sure that you're aware of 2 shout outs that came during that. One from the Lieutenant Governor in front of the audience of 500 or 600 people, once again referred to the Freshwater Research and Innovation Center very positively and affectionately, as he has in the past, referring to it as his baby. So again, a lot of personal interest from the Lieutenant Governor, and also Chuck Marshall, who's the president of ITC. ITC was the lead sponsor of this year's conference. And when he was on stage giving his comments, he specifically noted again the Freshwater Research and Innovation Center, as well as the North Sky Consortium, the work that we're doing in putting together a Beyond the Visual Line of Sight corridor. So it was great to have 2 standout people like that giving shout outs to the college. The third thing I'd like to share, and it connects back to Laura's piece around the 60 by 30 grant. This part I did share with you in my monthly update, and I'll only give you enough context so that I can give you an update since my mid-month. If you remember, the House Appropriations Committee voted to unilaterally disapprove of about $645 million of what are called work project funding in the state. This was back in December. We were caught up in that because that grant, that work, that amazing work that Laura and her team are doing with that $1.2 million grant, that grant was part of that chopping block. So fortunately, through Gabe Schneider, through the work of Traverse Connect and Warren and his team, we have worked relentlessly with MCCA, with our state legislators, and ultimately, I shouldn't say ultimately, probably pentultimately, the Attorney General, Nessel, back on January 7th, issued an opinion, and her opinion was that the House Republicans violated the state constitution in doing that. The funding was turned on again for long enough for us to get our money due into the state, but literally within about the next 24 hours, it was shut off again because, and this is the new news, after the Attorney General's determination, as you might suspect, the Speaker sued, and essentially a stay or a preliminary injunction was put into play. So the funding was again turned off. So right now it's in the court's hands. And what that means just very practically is we've got $1.2 million that was promised to us from the state, and it isn't being paid to us now. So we are continuing to do that work without any promise of payroll. And there are 4 individuals who are paid from that who could potentially be out of work if we don't choose to fund it on our own, or if we indeed don't get the funding from the state. So we continue to advocate. Just as recently as last Monday, Gabe and I met with Representative Roth, continuing to advocate that this is really important for us. Obviously, Traverse Connect, Gabe Schneider, MCCA, and everyone else is. But I share it with you so you are aware that we are in the proverbial rock and a hard place as it comes to this funding. The fourth thing is just on a high level. It's a new year and a new semester. I'll share with you, I think, one of our greatest joys and one of our greatest sorrows as we start this new year. And the joy was our opening conference. Was an incredible opening conference that allowed us to do not only the 75th kickoff of this 75th anniversary celebration year, but also the launch of the strategic plan. What I was most excited by is we had an alumni panel. Beth Milligan from the Ticker and also an NMC alum did a great job with a panel that Catherine and her team had curated, which included folks like Sheriff Shea as an alum of our police academy, Bob Sutherland, the founder and president of Cherry Republic, also Courtney Lorenz, the entrepreneur and founder of Cultured Kombucha, and in the healthcare side, Dr. Michelle Whitcop, a graduate of our nursing program. And it also included a brief video piece of one of our alums who wasn't able to make it. But if you're familiar with Dr. Annie Kreitcher, who's out at the Lawrence Livermore Labs back 2 years ago, Time Magazine awarded her one of the top 100 most influential people in the world recognition for her work with nuclear fusion. So we had a really great panel that I think truly represented the diversity of our NMC alums, and it was a great start, or a great joy to start this new year. On the sorrow side, I had shared with you about the passing of our faculty member, family member, Nancy Gray. Nancy spoke with us recently, if you recall, highlighting the work she did with the founding of our Neurodiversity Support Center, which was the first at a community college in the state of Michigan. And obviously, while I hold that up, I think that was just more emblematic of what we all knew of Nancy. She was incredibly student-centered, but particularly with students who weren't always at the core. She often worked with students who were around the edges and made sure that they got pulled in and the attention and the services that they deserved and needed. What was most touching is we did have a service here at the Milliken last week in her honor, and it was a full Milliken auditorium, many people there to celebrate her life. But what was most touching is there were 5 students who gave thanks and praise to Nancy, students from the Neurodiversity Support Center, and it was surely a touching moment. Amidst all of that grief, what I can say is, as I walked away from there, you think about our mission of transforming lives, of enriching our community. Wow, it was clear that day that, yep, that's the work that Nancy did, and that's the work that all of our faculty do day in and day out. So thank you for supporting that. The very last thing I'll say, Mark, it's more of a segue to you because I know you're going to say some positive things about Laura, and I'm not going to say a whole lot other than to say I tried to say what I had to say in the op-ed article, which I shared with you, which was from this weekend's Record Eagle. And in there it was my attempt to recognize Laura, but also at the same time to recognize the efforts of the entire board for what we've accomplished under Laura's leadership and the collaborative efforts. And I'm not going to read the laundry list, but just to remind you, because I think it does deserve pause and reflection of the things that we've been able to accomplish with Laura's leadership. Things like the Freshwater Research and Innovation Center at launching, the launching of the new North Sky Consortium, and the hope of what that's going to bring us. Both of those aren't just focused on the college, but the college's role in regional economic development. So Laura not only focused here at the college, but how does the college impact the wider community? You look at things that we've brought to the college over the last couple years, things like a new 3D printer and a new tugboat. Those are important assets that allow us to do our work. An amazing aviation expansion, which was the first in half a century, which allows us to draw down that 2-year waiting list and really position our graduates for incredible middle class and upper middle class wage earning jobs. We also acquired new apartments, the first time we acquired new housing and off-campus housing at that, to allow us to meet those needs of students. We finished up one strategic plan, launched another, finished up a campus master plan, and launched a branding strategy, which are all driving us forward. We also have plans in place for financing and engineering the new geothermal power plant, and the launching of our 75th anniversary. And I could probably go on and on, not to forget or not mention as well the Boardman Lake campus decision, which we're going to speak to today. But all of that, I'd say, has been done in both a values-grounded and results-driven way. So I think anyone can achieve results, but at what cost? You made sure that those results were achieved consistent with who we are as a college. So with all of that, I'll say thank you and open up questions or comments.
Yeah, the 60 by 30 sounds like a really good goal, but I don't quite understand it. I know what a degree is, but is there any qualitative or economic standard for the certificate, or just any kind of certificate?
Yeah, Laura, you might speak to that, but my understanding is it's any certificate.
So the state of Michigan is also asking us that question. So when we asked them, they sort of said, yeah, what do you think? So that is absolutely the question, what counts and what doesn't count. So we are, I'd have to talk to my team to see what exactly we're counting in that 400 number. Do you?
Workforce certificates that give you an Alice wage are higher.
Okay, so we know when the Pell Grants come out, it's going to focus on that wage or the earnings after the credential. So that's where we're drawing that line, but the state has not real clearly defined that yet for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Well, now is time for the board chair update. This is my first, and it's, sitting down to write this, I knew, well, I didn't, I suspected that Nick was going to cover the many accomplishments that Laura has had and the board together with her leadership in the last 3 years. So instead, I decided to take a little bit of a personal turn and just take a moment to say the immense amount of generosity that Laura has shown me personally in the last year, the time that she has spent to prepare me for this. So thank you, Laura, for that. And I did I took a moment to write down all the things that I thought of Laura. And so the things that came to mind for me.
Short list.
First would be generous with that time that she spent with me, always keeping me and thinking of me in even the smallest ways to allow me to have a well-rounded experience over the past year to prepare me to take over this chair seat. And then the passion and love that she has for NMC, that comes through every day, every time I speak with her. It's clear that she is willing to, and has over the last 3 years, really dig in and spend enormous amounts of time to make sure that this board is led and is providing leadership and guidance to Nick. And then lastly, the impact that I think that you've had, the accomplishments that you've had with the collaboration with this board and Nick is going to endure for some time. And I hope that you can now step away and enjoy a little bit less time spent on this type of work, but to step back and be able to look at and appreciate the accomplishments that you've had in the last 3 years. So congratulations on good work and maybe having a little bit more time to yourself now. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to let you keep going with the agenda.
Okay. So we're going to move on to consent items. And so I would like to get a motion, please, to
I'll
approve the
make the
consent.
motion.
Okay, support?
Support.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, same sign. And the motion passes. Next, we're going to move on to the action items. First, item S is the sale of the Boardman campus, real property. I want to take just a second to say that, this is on a timeline. Any real estate transaction and we have some changes that took place as far as guidance from our council that just simply changed it from authorizing the purchase, Nick, to do what he needs to do to execute the purchase, to instead making a resolution. So we've got a small change in the language there. And so I would, let's see, I'm just going to read the revised here that's updated here. We recommend the board adopt a resolution for the sale of Boardman Lake campus as presented, and to take all other actions, execute any additional documents necessary to complete the sale under the condition that the net sale proceeds be placed into a board designated fund.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, any discussion?
I did. I'm
Henry?
second the question. No questions, Joe.
Okay.
I thought you asked. Is it
Okay,
second?
the discussion phase now is we're going to move to the screen, which is going to, we're going to review the language and have an open discussion related to the resolution. So you all have seen this in the packet. I would like to open it up for discussion.
Well, I'm relying on our council to appropriately draft it. Insofar as I can see, they have done so.
I agree.
I'm trying to get to the full resolution.
The additional language, Jody, that you sent to me, I have here, which is, I believe, intended to have the action item language that was discussed at the study session match what's in the resolution that legal counsel drafted, so I'm sure that you're for discussion.
Sure, so for the board, in reading the draft that was circulated, it did not capture my request at the study session. It simply expressed, in my opinion, an intention of how the proceeds would be used, but did not actually create a board designation, which has gap implications, where the reporting and that restriction would be at the board level. So it's still unrestricted for purposes of financial statements and our audit. However, the use of which would have to be authorized by the board. So I sent back language to Lynn that better captured what I had been requesting.
So has our legal counsel reviewed Jody's suggestion?
No.
Then can you point out for us, so we don't have to quickly do it here, what is changing in your suggestion?
So in the second paragraph of the resolution, it currently, or as it was circulated, reads, whereas the board commits to direct any proceeds from the sale of this property toward priorities already identified in the college's strategic plan and campus master plan, all aimed at strengthening student success and regional vitality. That's where it's just simply an intention as opposed to saying.
So then what are you suggesting? Take me to exactly, I'm aware of what was originally presented to us from our legal counsel. What are you suggesting as the very specific difference?
That all net proceeds from the sale of the Boardman Lake campus property shall be deposited into a segregated board designated fund, and be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees intends that such proceeds be used solely to advance capital and strategic priorities identified in the college's strategic plan and campus master plan, and not for routine operating expenses or ongoing salary or benefit obligations. And be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees shall approve all material disbursements from such fund, and be it further resolved that the administration shall report annually to the Board of Trustees regarding the balance and use of such fund. Because I believe that it is important for the college and the community that such a significant use of proceeds have governance and some level of transparency over time.
This is very specific, rightfully so. I'd like to hear from Troy and Nick as to how, is this much different than what our legal counsel had presented to us?
Well, I
Or
don't think
is it
we
just
need
more
to change the
specific?
language, but I hope that last part of the resolution there doesn't mean that we will only hear once a year.
And I mean, if it's necessary to take it as two separate actions, then I would request that on the next agenda item for our February meeting, that the board consider taking action to establish and designate the proceeds into a board designated fund.
Lynn, what is the process now, once we have this discussion, so for this, in order to be able to move forward tonight with the resolution, and then still be able to capture any discussion items that were not able to get approved through council?
So I think one route would be to, if there's consensus and you want to vote on the resolution as it was shared, drafted by legal counsel, and as Jody is suggesting, keep this for a later discussion on how that fund, the specifics on the fund being set up and the reporting structure and whatnot. Troy would be able to speak to just the actual way that's set up. I would also say our policies on board approval for purchases at a threshold are in another policy.
Right. That's why I feel like some of this language isn't necessary due to other policies that will support this. As a trustee, I feel more comfortable approving the resolution as it was already gone through all of the appropriate channels of our council and our leadership, and then come back to our fund that doesn't impact the sale, as you're suggesting at that February meeting.
That would provide for greater review by legal counsel. We did have to
Yeah.
confirm that they supported the addition that we put in the action language about the condition that the net sale proceeds be placed in the board designated fund. They did agree with that, but they have not looked at this language that.
Okay, so if we're able to move forward with the language as approved by council, and then bring up and consider refining and a separate motion to approve more guardrails, as you're suggesting, in February.
Yes, to create a board designated fund for the
Right.
proceeds that would be recognized under GAAP as a segregated account. I'm not trying to create rigidity or extra work for staff, but I think that it is, and want to be clear that I feel that it's important for fiduciary discipline and transparency, because we're selling a substantial, or potentially selling a substantial public asset, and so we owe it to our taxpayers and future boards.
Pam,
Would you scroll down to where the board designated fund is in there?
I see Andy, one second. Yeah, Andy, one second, we're gonna, Pam's got a question right now, and we're gonna follow up with you immediately after.
I don't believe it is explicitly in the
So it's-
resolution as presented by legal counsel.
Oh, it's not, so designated fund is not a part of the
No,
resolution?
correct. So
It
it
was in
did
the
not make it
motion.
into the resolution.
Oh, that's right,
In the
okay,
language of the motion.
okay.
Okay, Andy?
Can't hear.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Any other discussion?
Do we have a copy of the motion?
Yeah, the board packet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
it's in the agenda?
It is.
Okay.
The only difference, Pam, is that you're recommended that it's adopting a resolution versus just motion. That's the only thing that's changed from Friday when the packet was posted. We got that advice.
Okay. Pam, do you have anything else?
I just want somebody to read the motion out loud to me because I can't. I don't
Okay,
see it.
we're gonna do this again. To recommend the board adopt a resolution for the sale of the Boardman Lake campus as presented, and to take all other actions to execute any additional documents necessary to complete the sale under the condition that the net sale proceeds be placed into a board designated fund.
All right, thank you.
And we had a motion, we had support,
Yes.
and so we need to do a roll call now? Okay, so all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Same sign. And the motion passes. And next, action item, we are looking for a motion, welding certificate changes. Recommend the welding certificate level 1 be discontinued and welding certificate level 3 be established effective fall of 2026. May I have a motion to approve? And support?
Support.
Any discussion on this? And it looks like Stephen is stepping up so he can hear you better. And so the question, Andy, do you mind repeating that? Stephen is nearby now. He's going to be able to hear you better.
From what I took from the write-up was that we were providing a certificate level 1 that really wasn't qualified for what Chopper was requesting. And people really needed, we were really saying you gotta have a welding 2 certificate to avoid marketable types of understand. Is that the case? Really happening now?
Yeah, one moment. Stephen's going to step to the podium.
So Andy, what we determined with the help of the advisory committee is that the certificate level 1 was insufficient to provide the skills to enable a graduate to be successful in the industry. And so what is really happening is that the certificate level 1 is being augmented. We made it thus certificate level 2, and then we've also expanded certificate level 2 to become more robust with new coursework in providing certificate level 3, so that both certificate level 2 and 3 provide the level of skills that the industry are requesting from us.
Well, my second question is a follow-up to that. Will it then take longer for these graduates to get this welding certificate too? Does it take a lot longer?
Well, there are more credits, so it will take a bit longer, but based on the feedback from the advisory committee, they felt that the additional time was beneficial because now they will get the skills that they need. And on top of that, both the certificate level 2 and 3 now will have industry credentials that they are looking to have, which the earlier certificates did not have.
Any other discussion? signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. And the motion passes. Next up is I need a motion to recommend authorization for administration to temporarily suspend NMC's liquor license in Lobdell's A Teaching Restaurant to accommodate 45th Parallel Vines and Wines teaching seminars as presented. May I have a motion to support?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the motion passes. Last action item, security incident and event management software. I need a motion to recommend authorization of the purchase and contract agreement with Sentinel-1 in the amount of $70,396.10 to complement our current cybersecurity tools to improve NMC's resilience to cyber attacks. And discussion?
Comment. I think the board ought to be told, because this didn't go to committee, we would never expected it. Vicki, can you tell us just what this contract does?
Yeah, Todd, you want to quickly overview that?
Ask David to come to for technical type questions. We haven't. This is an extension of a current capability that we have for monitoring security and application logs across servers and network equipment. This goes a step further though and allows us to put that together with the endpoint protection we have, which many, many years ago we thought it was antivirus, but it does a lot more now. And it coordinates those events so that anything happening on one of our machines or in the servers or network, it brings all the different log notations together in one place and notifies our staff and gives us a single point of monitoring what's going on there. David, if you could speak to also, it has the ability to monitor network traffic and recognize anomalies in it as well. And some of the capability to do some automatic response.
So one of the big pieces that we get from this software is if there is an event that happens on one of our endpoints, it's going to be able to correlate how the network traffic is outside of the scope of what is normal for us, and then log everything back and give us alerts so we can trace everything as it passed through our network so we can more readily remediate any issues that we might encounter from something happening.
So it's just one segment of the overall program?
Yes, this is one, it is a large piece, but it is one piece of the cybersecurity track that we're moving down to give us more resilience overall.
Okay.
And this is annual?
There is an additional component that is a one-time fee for helping us get it set up and fine-tuned so it works in our environment. And then every annual expense beyond that will be significantly lower than the single amount that I have listed here.
Does this change any of the performance of the network or the end user's experience?
This will be invisible to end users unless they are the ones that are on the device that has had the incident. In that event, it would actually lock down that one device to prevent it from spreading further.
And this is all devices who access our network regardless if they're NMC equipment or just...
This is all NMC-owned equipment, so this would be for any of our servers or any of our endpoints, including staff laptops.
Any other discussion? Okay. All right. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the motion passes. Thank you. And follow-up. So we had follow-up regarding the resolution today to make sure that we have language included that Trustee Lundquist has brought to us to council. And any other follow-up? Nope. Okay, well, with that, we are adjourned.